In this video, I want to talk about niching down as a coach. This is a question that comes up so much, especially for early stage coaches that are hungry to get stuck into business. And a key kind of part of that is, what kind of coach am I? What am I going to specialize in? So first things first, let's talk about why you might want to niche. And it's kind of important. The key thing is that if you're working in various fields, you're all the time getting pulled into new areas where you have to learn those areas. Whereas if you're working in one concentrated space, every time you work on that, you build a bit of experience, you develop new tools, and you develop a specialism in that area. And so the more you work in one particular niche, the more you can actually establish your expertise in that field and do your work better. So if you want to be a really, really good coach, key thing is, well, if you niche down, you'll give yourself a hell of an opportunity to get very, very good in that particular space. The other thing is when it comes to your market, if you're doing a different thing every week and a market is watching on, well, let's be honest, that's not very attractive. People want to work with experts, and people want to work with people who are specializing in a given thing. And generally speaking, if people are watching on and somebody is doing something different every week, it's more confusing than anything else, and it's hard to know what that person does. So if you are zoned in a particular niche, and people are seeing you in that niche over and over again, that repetition builds familiarity and starts to really build confidence as well for the viewer. So that's a key part of it. And then if you flip things and if you think about you trying to communicate with that ideal customer for yourself, well, it's very easy to zone in on a particular customer if you know who you cater to and what it is that you're offering. But if you're offering so many services to so many different people, and you're trying to market, well, you're going to market in one direction 1 minute, and another direction another minute. And again, for anybody watching on, that's again all the more confusing. So niching down helps you build your expertise, helps customers understand what it is that you do, and makes it all the easier to reach your customer. So this is really key. So let's pull you back to the very focus of this video, which is to help you develop your niche. Now, this might not be what you want to hear, but for early stage coaches in their first year, I actually encourage you not to niche. I'm a big believer that we need to get exposure to all sorts of different people and all sorts of different problems to figure out where our interest is, where our passion is, and where our effectiveness is. So I always say, for the first year, coaches, work with what's in front of you. Work with what comes to you. And enjoy that journey. You're not going to like some clients. You're going to really, really like others. You're not going to like certain spaces, certain fields, certain problems. And you're going to find yourself excelling in others. That's really, really hard to know up front. So for an early stage coach just starting their practice, for them to niche and to know who they're going to work best with and what area they're going to specialize in is, I would say, near impossible. But after a year, having had that exposure, it's actually really easy. A year in, you have a very clear idea of who you've worked well with versus who you want to avoid, and the areas of real expertise that you have, the areas that you do well in versus the areas that you want to avoid, the areas that unfortunately don't play to your strengths. And so at that point, a year in, that's the kind of point where you should be considering this question of niching down. But for anybody that I've met in this place, that suddenly becomes quite a pressure. It's like people get a bit overwhelmed with the decision. I think they think that if they're to niche down, they're niching down for life. And so suddenly this big life decision falls upon them. And sure, I think we all know when we get decisions like that put in front of us, we start to fumble and fall all over the place. So to make it easier, what I always suggest is, look, you're not niching down for the rest of your life. Let's just say that you're going to niche down for these next 3 months. And this 3-month period is going to be a trial to see how it works. That fantastically takes the pressure off the decision and makes it pretty easy to commit yourself. So what I find is, as I said, off the back of that exposure, you've got a pretty clear idea of who it is that you want to work with, who it is that you work best with, and the particular fields that you're really good at and that you can really deliver for your clients in. And what I think is important is that you pick one. So pick a particular field or particular problem that you want to work with, and a particular target market in that has that problem. So you might do like, you might have found that the real area that you love is confidence coaching. And the market that you love is women. You love working with women when it comes to confidence. And you've actually, from the exposure over the past year, you've got a number of tools and you've got a bit of a reputation in this space. So you decide at that year point, right, for the next 3 months, I am going to specialize in confidence coaching for women. And so the content you're sharing on social media is that. And the clients you're inviting in are those particular clients. And you might be, sharing their testimonials and sharing the tools you're learning from that work. And that refined messaging is key. When people are following on, they're like, oh, works with women. Oh, they're working with confidence coaching. That repetition of messaging starts to kick in. I was about to say that repetition of messaging kicks in, not just in terms of clients watching on, but for you sharing out. And that starts to, generally speaking, kick in a real momentum, start to build actually a real demand. And that's what we want to establish for you. But it's important to look at it 3 months in. Sometimes we get it wrong. Sometimes, although we're bang in the middle of the business, we can't see the wood from the trees and we make the wrong decision. So 3 months in, it's important to reflect. Okay, I just decided to zone in on confidence coaching for women. How has it gone? Has my business increased or decreased? If it's decreased, you need to reflect on that and perhaps tweak things a little bit. Or if it's increased, well, that's really good. That's a bit of positive encouragement behind your decision. And what I find is that with that positive encouragement in behind you, it almost builds your confidence up and it makes it all the easier to commit yourself all the more. So in a video like this, we're not going to solve all the problems, but hopefully we might help you for where you are. If you're an early stage coach, perhaps now you know what you need to do. If you're a year in, perhaps you've got a step forward for where you are. Either way, I hope this video serves and supports you. If you've been through this journey yourself, and so many coaches do go through this journey, so many people in all different fields of business go through this journey. If you had any tools that helped you, I'd really appreciate you leaving them in the comments below. If you have any feedback on how this experience went for you, similarly speaking, leave it in the comments below. I think it'll be really helpful for anybody in this state, not just to hear what I've had to share, but also to hear others' experiences too. And as I say at the end of all these videos, I hope this really complements and serves you well from here.